with great love and respect in my heart, I welcome you to this beautiful morning from Upasana. It's raining here outside today. Much needed rain. Before we begin, let's just take a moment to arrive and settle down. So wherever you are, find a comfortable place to be. Pull your spine straight. Open your shoulders. Close your eyes. Connect with the breath. Breath coming in and going out. Imagine the breath rising from the navel towards the heart. And as you breathe out, attention going back to the navel. As the breath comes towards the heart, beautiful lotus unfolds in your heart. As the breath goes out, the lotus closes. This opening and closing of the heart lotus with each breath. Nothing more. Breathing in and breathing out. Pause your breath for a moment, wherever it is. Bring your attention to the heart. Imagine the heartbeat. Before you begin to stress, release the breath. Continue breathing. Pause it again. Can you feel your heartbeat? With each beat, ripples going out, permeating your whole being and going beyond. Release the breath again. Soften your body even more. Pause the breath again. Bring your attention to the center of the forehead. Imagine your eyes being still. Mind resting in the center of the forehead. Release the breath. Keep your attention in the center of the forehead. Imagining your eyes are absolutely still. Pause the breath again. Keep your mind in the center of the forehead. Stillness of the breath, stillness of the eyes, stillness of the mind. Release the breath again. Welcome a deep breath. Release it and gently open your eyes. There is an old saying, one who conquers the self conquers the world. One who conquers the self conquers the world. Meaning, before we set out to change the world, to be victorious in the world, it's very helpful to look at oneself. Conquering the self means conquering your own mind. We are constantly running with the mind. When we come back to the self, begin to look, where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I doing whatever I'm doing? We spend so much time trying to be right. Whatever I think, others should agree with me. If they don't agree, I spend so much time trying to persuade them. If they don't change, I'm unhappy with them. Or I'm unhappy with myself. There was a beautiful reading yesterday. Baba's words. Baba said, you have no right to worship anyone else. You only have right to worship yourself. Now, What does the word worship yourself mean? If we worship someone or something, there is what's happening in my heart and in my mind. I'm devoted to someone. What does that mean? When we are worshiping, we are in reverence. We are established in love, respect, surrender. At that time, we are empty for something new to flow in. The ego, the pride, the arrogance takes back seat when we are in worship. So worshiping yourself really means giving all those divine virtues a chance to rise. Instead of my need to be right, acceptance emerges. Forgiveness emerges. And these are the divine qualities. Once we give divine qualities a chance to rise within us, we are worshiping ourselves. As we all know, the ultimate truth is you are a divine being. Divine being is not just a word. Do I treat myself like a divine being? And treating myself like a divine being doesn't mean that I'm always right. The quality of the divine is unconditional acceptance. Yes, I may have my own idea, but somebody else has some other ideas. If there is no acceptance, then there is conflict. We create so much conflict in our life just being human. And that's also truth. We are a human being. We get caught sometimes. But how do we free ourselves from that? And this act of our effort that we put in freeing ourselves is spiritual practice. Spiritual practice means I'm honoring my connection with the divine. Sitting on the altar, praying for something is not spirituality. Spirituality is honoring the spirit that dwells within you. When we are honoring that spirit dwelling within us, it's beyond the mundane expectations from the world. freeing ourselves from the mundane, keeping our mind focused on something higher. We don't get enlightened overnight. We don't change overnight. As long as there is awareness, as long as my mind is focused on something higher, like in business, there is a vision, then there is a mission. Vision is almost unattainable, but it gives us a direction. As long as we have that vision of ourselves, that I have to rise above all these mundane entanglements, that's the first step. I have to rise above all these trappings. Keeping our mind focused on something higher gives us an opportunity to take a step back, take a deep breath, and say to myself, it's not worth getting attached, getting caught. There is something we're just running into all the time, constantly. We try many different ways. All it takes is sometimes just take a step to the side. Then there is no conflict. There is no being human. We all have some difficulties, some problems with somebody else, or sometimes with ourselves. And we talk ourselves into it. This is my nature. This is who I am. This is how I operate. And if we just come to totally owning that, then we also get stuck. May I not put myself in a box, that this is the way I am. Leave that little space open for the mystery to unfold. I can rise above it. I can be free from this. Having this thought in my mind is very helpful. Not feeling stuck with certain way, certain characteristics is very helpful. Mind being victorious over the self means really being victorious over our mind. Our mind suggests all the time, this will make me feel better. Then we go out pursuing that. Yes, it makes us feel better in the moment. Then again, we begin to feel bad about ourselves. We have a guest here who said, Babaji, I really wanted the Wi-Fi password. That's the habit. We want, wherever we are, we have a little Wi-Fi here, but I held myself back. I said, I'll give it to you. She said, no. It's good to just not use the Wi-Fi for a day. And this is what Upasana is all about. And I was willing to give the Wi-Fi, but she said, no. So that little effort, because mind came, I could just check little things. And that's the kind of effort we need to make to separate ourselves from the mind that keeps suggesting that this will make me feel better. we are conditioned to listen to that mind that tells us this will make me feel better. Then we go get it. There is a beautiful word in Hindi, it is called Tyag. Tyag. Tyag means, the literal translation is to give up something. Sometimes you give up something temporarily, or sometimes we give up things forever. Every time we give up something for the sake of higher, enriches ourselves. Tyag. It's the tyag, the giving up not in a sense of that I'm a loser. You give up something and think you are victorious. Be it an instant or some other time. So during this satsang, I will want you to write this word down, Tyag. Tyag means giving up. You may give up something just for a moment, for one incident, or you may give up something for a week, for a month, or for life. Each one of those giving up enriches your life tremendously. But when I'm giving up, I'm not looking at myself as a victim. Rejoice that giving. That is a step towards conquering yourself, conquering the mind. When our mind becomes our friend, that it's always focused towards the higher by constant remembrance, giving up becomes easier. What is not useful in this journey, ascension, the mind loses its attraction towards it. But first of all, we have to learn how to give up. And while I have given up, not look at myself as a victim or something being deprived of. I also see we give up something for a week and we are always living with this sense of deprivation. Can't wait for this week retreat to be over so I could get back to my normal. See, that's not giving up. As long as the temptation is lurking, the giving up it's not complete. When you have given up something, may there be no waves of temptation, at least for that allotted time. And if that wave comes, that wave will come. And where do you feel that? At the belly, the gut. That's where the tension comes in first. And that is the time to take that energy and let it rise towards your heart. Change that energy of feeling deprived into something higher. These are very simple little techniques, simple little incidents that I'm talking about. We all face it. And how to take that energy and transmute it, transform it, is the work that we all can do. Tyag has a great place in spiritual world. Any yogi, any renunciate who gives up something, by giving up, he or she rises above it. that thing does not have hold over that person anymore. So please look at your relationship with Tyag. How do you feel? What do you think if you have given up something for a short time or a long time or forever? That feeling of deprivation, mind will keep coming because mind keeps trying to always lead us in a direction that feels good in the moment. But later on, then we have to deal with it. Comes back in the form of guilt, comes back in the form of losing confidence in yourself. We lose self-respect. We don't trust ourselves. So all those side effects are we have to deal with by running with the mind. Enjoy giving. You have an idea and somebody is not agreeing with you. Can you take a step back, take a deep breath, and see how important is your idea to you? The world is not going to end. If it's not going to happen that way, something else will happen. Aghor practice is it's neither yes nor no. Between the two, between the yes and no. Can I always flow in that space between yes and no? The moment I align with something, it becomes very rigid and it stops my fluidity. Now, immediately the mind said, yes, then, but then why to give up then? You see, we are so clever with ourselves. Stay between the yes and no without being attached to itself. This is the teaching. But the other side, it's being told, give up. Only that person can give up something who has little mastery over the self. Otherwise, if not alert, your mind we are tricked by ourselves every moment. So that giving up has to come from a very strong place. Yes, I'm going to do it. I know if I want to, I can have it. So that's the little freedom between yes and no. I can have it if I want to. But I'm not going to have it. That gives us, puts us in the space between yes and no. I'm not sure if I'm able to convey it so you can get it, but it's an experience. When the experience is put into the words, sometimes because our mind is very, very, very fast and it's very clever. It's already justifying and questioning and doubting and trying to argue with it. But if you get what I'm saying and bring it in practice, at least for a day with small things. One who conquers the world, the self can conquer the world. And this is the step of conquering the self by always staying alert to the suggestions of the mind. Mind suggests in every situation, in everything that we either interact with or we bring in our life. And as long as we live this human life, that things are going to be changing. Things are never the same. What situation we are in today, we may not be in tomorrow. So to have this flexibility sets us free from suffering. Suffering comes only when we are attached to something, and if things are not the same, not exactly the same, then we go into suffering. But if we learn how to be flexible and be wherever we are, and Tyag helps us to be where we are. Anyway, this is the word that came to me today, so I wanted to share it with you. And maybe in the week ahead, keep this word in your mind, in your remembrance, and see if you can practice it a little bit. This is where I will stop, and I will invite your thoughts. Thank you.